Tonight, more bloodshed in Mexico. Another journalist killed this week.
As we see, that camera person just got
Our
shot.
job is to report the news, not fabricate it. That's the government's job.
I don't care if you don't.
Okay, I'm down.
Right? There's
I'm not going to
90%
get
bullshit.
Can you stay kind of who are fake news?
Famous fake news
Is
at
this
this
the
point.
price one needs to pay to speak the truth?
Fake news.
Always about silencing the
choice,
target.
but fuck it, I quit.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Hold on here 1 second, you guys. I don't know what's going on with this light, but it's going to drive me crazy. I have to fix this real quick. Oh, it's been a long week. Of course, still not feeling well, but that's just part of life at this point. This light is driving me crazy, literally. See if I can fix that. There we go. Hopefully that'll work and stay out of my eyes for at least now. Hi, Linda. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Richard. Hi, Nana. I'm guessing you're in here. I know Nana's not feeling well. She has pneumonia. So everyone, please say a prayer for Nana. Please say a prayer for Nana. She is not feeling well. Hit that share button. Of course, get it out there as far as possible, because we have no reach at all on Facebook anymore. So share it out. Share it everywhere. And if you can afford to buy a gift for a child in need, please check the link out below. We have things on Amazon. I want to thank Hank Myers, of course, because we did receive 2 dolls, of course, ordered from him. Very thankful for that. A lot happening in the world today, though, of course, is everything is getting going. Hi, Sarah. How you doing tonight? Hit that share button while you're in here. Hi, Clan. Hello, hello, hello. First, we got, of course, what's going on in Israel, of course, with Hamas. Israel released, of course, another 30 prisoners. Another 30 prisoners. Israel released for 12 hostages. This is ridiculous. This is a never-ending battle. Of course, nobody's winning this at this point. As those Hamas military leaders, during the hostage exchange, they actually fired. This is crazy. Hamas is not playing around. And if we look at what's happening with Iran firing missiles on U.S. ships, Navy, of course, seized one of the vessels that attackers were trying to seize, an Iranian-linked tanker, while missiles from rebel-controlled Yemen were launched towards U.S. military ships. That's right. This is crazy. Armed assailants, of course, seized and later let go of a tanker linked to Israel off the coast of Yemen on Sunday, before being apprehended by the United States Navy. 2 ballistic missiles fired by Houthis controlled Yemen landed right near a U.S. warship aiding the tanker in the Gulf and aiding. This is raising the stakes, of course, amongst a series of ship attacks linked to Hamas and Hezbollah. Yemen internationally recognized the government blamed the Iranian-backed Houthis rebels for the attack. Of course, we know that's not true at this point. This is just the beginning, though. As this gets deeper and the plot thickens, Iran adds, of course, sophisticated warship to its Caspian Sea fleet, causing more tensions to rise as the Navy, of course, added a destroyer capable of launching cruise missiles to its Caspian Sea fleet, which is hugely problematic as we're watching, of course, this war escalate day in, day out. People are going through hell. We need to get the hell out of the Middle East for sure. And it's scary watching this unfold. I mean, Syria says Israel airstrike hit the Damascus airport and putting it out of service. So that's, you got Israel attacking now, not just Gaza, but attacking Syria directly. Israel airstrike hitting the international airport in Syria, in the capital of Damascus, which is just ridiculous. This is all heating up. And you know, a lot of people aren't paying attention. I don't know where Christopher is. I know he's in chat, but he's never in here. He never talks in here anyways. But this all happening, you know. Israel now striking major airports several times since the onset of course, the Hamas and Israel war. Israel struck parts of the western Syria after rockets fired landed in Israel, occupied Syrian Golan Heights, whatever it's called. I mean, this is crazy, though. They are letting this war grow out of control. Literally. Every time we turn around, something new is happening. And this war is growing out of control. And at the same time, Biden signs an executive order, which nobody's talking about right now, that allows Israel to take any weapons they want out of a stockpile that used to take the approval of Congress. Nobody's asking questions. Nobody's making any mentions of this. There's nuclear arms in that stockpile. They have the right to take anything they want. This could be majorly problematic. Sorry to say, but people need to wake up. This is beyond the point of just a fight or a war. Slide it, drive me crazy. I'm sorry, you guys. But beyond the point of this war that we're seeing unfold in the Middle East, it's a growing war. This war is going to come and hit the U.S. eventually, whether we're prepared or not. Watching, of course, people from Britain and the U.S. alone, as these terrorist groups are moving. No actions, of course, have been heard of yet, but these actions of seeing these terrorist groups moving and, of course, organizing within our countries and our Western or Eastern allies, this is dangerous. And we're going to keep backing Ukraine. Of course, Biden right now citing that we should send more money to Ukraine. And Republicans, even Republicans at this point, want to pair border security with aid for Ukraine. So in order to get aid for Ukraine, they have to approve border security. But the problem, Republicans in both chambers of Congress have made it clear they will not support any more aid for Ukraine unless necessarily paired to border measures to help manage the influx of migrants. And these migrants aren't even coming from the migrant countries, supposedly. It's craziness. For a short time, there was a deal, but of course, now we're watching the Democrats saying they don't want to do anything more at the border. And there's no guarantee the House will even pass anything that went through. With, of course, border measures being included in this. Amongst all that, Ukraine is losing. Ukraine is losing the war extremely badly. I don't think people understand how bad it is in Ukraine right now. Let me explain something. It is getting terribly bad. Ukrainian troops have been encircled with no ammunition as Russia is ready to storm key towns. Yes, Russia has encircled massive amounts of Ukrainian troops at this point, with no ammunition left to fight. Ukrainian journalists have admitted the situation is unbearable and only getting tougher. As Russian troops continue to pour into the town, or multiple towns right now, Ukrainian forces have been encircled in Evadek, a key town, of course, in the east of the country, as Russian soldiers advance from all directions. Warnings come from, of course, the head of the Abadan military administration, or Adakas military administration. His concerns as Russia continues to throw men into the town, leaving Ukrainian troops with no ammunition and no way to fight back. Of course, if they surrender, they face getting exiled from their own families. It's crazy. The enemy is encircled the town at this point. That's what he said. There's no way to fight back. And being in one of these major industrial zones in this key town, this is a problematic point. Russia is winning this war. Let's make no merit. Let's not try to lie about it. As powerful storms, of course, hitting the Black Sea region, leaving more than 500,000 people in Ukraine without power. This weekend, the weekend storm that pounded the Black Sea region toppled trees and down power lines and flooded coastal areas of Ukraine, leaving more than 500,000 people, the people that were left with power, 500,000 of them, now without power. I mean, meanwhile, of course, blanketed with snow piles and drifts up to 25 centimeters, 10 inches, 3 times heavier than normal. The rest of Ukraine and most of Russia is now getting dumped on with snow. Of course, that's causing the snow and power outages that were already having effects in Ukraine are now getting worse, causing fatal traffic accidents, of course, and freezing of lots of citizens. This is crazy. And of course, the U.S. wants to play it off like Russia was trying to play peace talks right now. The only peace talks Russia was willing to have, they stopped. That was, of course, in summer when we decided that the Spring Initiative was going to make Ukraine so much better. Ukraine lost 10 men to every one of Russia's during the offensive that, of course, happened this spring or this summer. And those numbers are coming out of Ukraine. Those numbers aren't coming out of Russia, so we can't say it's Russian propaganda. These are coming out of Russia's actual plan or actual military strategic announcements. They're having men and women as old as 75 fighting on the battlefront. Of course, minor children are already been involved. We don't know how many at this point, but we know that they were enlisting people under the age of 18. They're going to lose this war. It's not a question at this point. It's maybe a question of when, but the question is if they're going to win the war, they're not going to win. They've already lost. I mean, Crimea officials told people to stay home as the government facilities, including schools and hospitals, are closing. Moscow says, it downed dozens of Ukrainian drones heading for Moscow following a massive strike on Kiev. Yes, Kiev's been hit massively. Of course, and then they try to send in Ukraine tried to send all their drones, dozens of drones, directly at Moscow, which of course they did not make it there. The most intense wave of drone attack that we've seen so far in this war. Russian air defenses brought down at least 24 drones before they even got near the Moscow region, dozens more when they, of course, did get towards Moscow. So information is coming out at the same time that we're hearing about Zelensky's spy chief, his wife being treated for poisoning of heavy metals. So yes, Russian insurgency is definitely there. We don't know how this Ukrainian intelligence chief has been poisoned by heavy metals. She's currently undergoing treatment at the hospital. Of course, with the war with Russia stretching in its 22nd straight month, watching now heads of the Ukrainian military and their spouses being poisoned. This is a very problematic issue. There's not many more details provided about the alleged poisoning, nor they say they believed it was intended for him or his wife. But this is crazy. I mean, we watch Ukrainian military or media say that the military intelligence was being amazing in Ukraine, but yet they can't even protect their own families. This is pretty bad. And Putin's not stopping. Putin signed, of course, Russia's largest national budget, bolstering military spending by a drastic amount, going from a $9.5 billion budget to a $415 billion budget next year. $415 billion. That's almost half of what the United States military spends, with a fraction of the population and troops. This is a huge budget for military spending, and I imagine we will see a lot more stuff coming to the battlefront. People be prepared. This is going to escalate. Russia is prepared to escalate this in any and all manners. We see North Korea, so we see China, we see Russia, we see Iran, all stockpiling supplies, putting them underground. Our own government's doing it. Something is going to happen, and they know that. It's only a point of when at this point. We look towards China, another surge of respiratory illnesses. Supposedly, China is saying they're caused by flu and other known pathogens. But the surge in respiratory viruses that I started talking about last week is getting worse. They're, of course, not naming what virus this is besides the flu. Of course, WHO is asking questions now. World Health Organization is asking China about more information about the rise in illnesses and pneumonia clusters. Yes, we know for sure there's pneumonia clusters now because WHO is the one that actually uncovered that. I hate to say it. World Health Organization is not exactly very friendly at this point. But I have a feeling mask mandates are coming down soon. This virus, of course, broke out about 2 weeks ago in a Russian Siberian area, and now it's in the heart of China, spreading at a very rapid rate. The recent spike in respiratory illnesses in China signals the start of a new global outbreak. And outside scientists are warranted close monitoring and hoping it will not be. They're not convinced at this point that it is just ordinary respiratory viruses because, of course, we know that's not true. We know both COVID-19 and SARS, when first reported, were just common colds, and pneumonia, certain types of pneumonia came up. That's the way they did it last time. They said it was just a common cold or flu. We're hearing that same information from China again. So, of course, people need to be worried about this because I can see this happening as another global epidemic at this point. As China is not willing to share information of what's actually happening there. But China's not playing dead or rolling over to anybody's problematic propulsions happening around the world. Japan, of course, and Vietnam agreed to bolster ties and start discussions on Japan's military aid amidst China threats. Hold on. I remember Japan and Vietnam partnering during, what was that? Oh, the Second World War. Believe it or not, we were fighting with China before World War II broke out. We became allies with them overnight, as, of course, everything unfolded, with Japan directly attacking the United States after, of course, multiple reports that they were going to do it, and nobody took heed of word for it. Now, of course, watching Japan and Vietnam agreeing to bolster ties again and start discussions, Vietnam being not friendly to America, not friendly to China either. This could be a direct threat to the United States, another direct threat. Let's say it the way it is. Election time, a new virus? Why not? You're right about that, Richard. But watching this, Vietnam, of course, and Japan agreeing to strengthen ties, and their security and economic ties in the face of China's growing influence. Oh, wait. We heard this all before. In fact, maybe tomorrow night I'll play some media clips from pre-World War II. might be surprised to hear about the glowing influence on the region that China had, and Japan, of course, having to strengthen their security ties with Vietnam, because that's exactly what unfolded then. We're seeing it happen again. Nobody's questioning it because, of course, China's the big bad guy. But really, is China the really big bad guy? I mean, 90% of our goods come from them. They don't stand to gain anything by attacking us directly, of course, or cutting any kind of ties with us for financial gain. They would actually lose in that battle. But watching the strategic partnership happening again between Japan and Vietnam, I mean, they say that their cooperation to new heights to further and expand new fronts. All very familiar talks, but nobody's paying attention. Oh, they're nowhere near done screwing over the people in Malibu, but that's just it. Oh, and just get this. Cities are cracking down on homeless encampments. Yeah, we're not cracking down on migrants taking over the hotels, of course, and the homeless aid that we did have to house migrants in these freezing temperatures. But now, cities are tossing tent poles, blankets, duffel bags, shopping carts, three-wheel wagons in the trash, tearing down people's homes, away from homes that no longer have a place to shelter. The local shelters, of course, migrants come first. Hotels, migrants come first. Federal aid, migrants come first. Oh, wait, United States citizens, they can sleep on the street. When they're there, we're going to take their tents, blankets, and duffel bags while we're there. This is the first time, and it won't be the last, as we see this happening throughout even the most liberal cities, as of Portland, Chicago, New York. This is tragedy. Seeing people, of course, most of them homeless, not by their own choice. Of course, no services are left there to get them back up out of the streets. Cost of living has gone so high that nobody can afford much of anything anymore. I mean, just this past week, there's been at least 4 street sweeps where they're throwing away everything they can get their hands on. This is crazy. Watching veterans that are on the streets because they can't find housing. Veterans. I'm talking veterans here. I know there's a lot of other people. But veterans on the streets because they can't find affordable housing or even services through veteran services because they're not available. Lack of access to mental health and addiction treatments, obviously a problem throughout the United States as we now provide drugs or drug paraphernalia to drug addicts. Obviously, that's not going to help. But the increasing sweeps to end encampments of these people, homeless people, from Los Angeles to New York, because there's pressure to address the issue of the unsanitary living conditions. The problem is just throwing away all their belongings in freezing temperatures is not going to reduce the number of homeless people. It's just going to increase the number of deaths of homeless people at this point. We can't house them because we don't have federal money, because that's going to illegal immigrants getting put up in 5-star hotels and fed 5-star dining. Biden administration, of course, blaming it on businesses and sellers that prices are high because sellers want to charge too much. Biden's approval rating falls to a record low to 27% approval rating right now. 27%. Because Biden, of course, said Monday, prices are still high, and argues that companies are the problem. That, of course, the 18% inflation is due to companies raising costs. Not because minimum wage was raised to $25 an hour and companies were forced to raise rates. Not that companies are forced to pay a higher interest rate under the Biden administration. Not because companies are forced to pay more taxes under the Biden administration. And families are having the hardest times ever. Biden instead says, we know prices are still high for many things. Of course, we made progress, but we have to do more work. Let me make it clear. Any corporation has not brought down their prices back down after inflation has come down, even as supply chain has been rebuilt. It's time to stop price gouging and give Americans, consumers, a break. They're not price gouging, Biden. It's called economics. You pay people $25 an hour when they were making $10. You have to make $15 more an hour off of sales. And that's just the beginning, because then you have taxes on top of that. You have employment insurance and everything else that goes along with that went up. So now you're looking at probably making more like $20 an hour more you have to make per every employee. Biden doesn't understand that. He doesn't understand how the real world works. You know, he's been in government his whole life, taking bribes and making money off his family's name. Now, wait, making sure his family makes money off of that too. That's the most important thing for the Biden brand, as has been clear now, seeing the money being forced into these shell corporations, going back directly into his pockets. There's no way the family could own the homes they own. That's obvious at this point. Now it's just deciphering how the money got to where. And of course, that may take some time. But I'm seeing this breakdown as Biden is going to have to be impeached. End of story. I think even Democrats are starting to see it now, as you see some information breaking on mainstream media. You're seeing it on the leftist media channels like CNBC today, talking about issues about where the money actually came from. Of course, as they dig deeper and they start digging in, Biden is not going to be complacent. He's going to have to, of course, fight for his freedoms again, I guess, if he deserves them. And taking money on the benefit of his benefiting his family, depriving the country of actual solving problems. I mean, Trump tried to decouple us from China, as of course Biden has pushed us closer than ever. Bidenomics is not strengthening the supply chain, it's weakening America. His top-down financial plan doesn't work. We already know that. We're seeing it unfold. It's craziness. Craziness as everything is unfolding here in the United States. Biden trying to go back and blame corporations that the Federal Reserve rate is so high that people cannot, or companies can't afford to not charge the prices they're charging. Just be prepared. It's gonna get worse. As other factors, of course, begin to fuel inflation, like expected supply chain issues coming soon. Cost of energy is expecting to skyrocket any time now, as we're hitting winter fronts hitting around the U.S., causing, of course, fuel sales to go through the roof. Just be prepared. Gas prices will be on the rise. Yes, they may be low today, but they're going to be on the rise here soon. We can't say sanctions are working anywhere because everybody's buying Russian oil except for us at a discount of up to $20 a gallon or a barrel, which is a huge difference. $20 a barrel is a big difference in price. Guys, be prepared for what's about to unfold because it's going to get worse before it gets better. We know that. We've been through it long enough. We know that. We have to be prepared with our families, our friends, our loved ones. Get a tight circle and keep it that way. As things unfold in the future, we just have to be prepared. I mean, watching everything unfold is just crazy. For people attacking any right-wing, anybody, any kind of judge at this point, it's scary. God bless you guys. God bless America. And of course, if you can afford to donate to a child in need, check out our Amazon wish list. We have stuff on there. I want to thank again Hank Myers, who's the first one that, or Mays, the first one that actually a gift was delivered here today. So definitely want to thank him directly. And of course, any of you guys that order, we thank you. Desperately needed help, children in need, as this America is falling through the cracks. I'm sorry, but our children need to come first. But God bless you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully I'll feel even better then. I'm still pretty lightheaded today. But God bless you. Good night and stay strong.